Buddy,
No, you started too early, as usual.
oh, God.
It just sounds terrible, Safi. Nobody wants to watch a video where the person is so brain dead they can't even start it a normal
don't
way.
do that.
What?
Don't do that.
Why?
Bullshit.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
Hey, everybody. It's Safi and Marco. Dish out on the movies.
No, start. Okay, we'll have to start over because.
Why? What did I do wrong now?
Just kidding.
Unbelievable. Okay, well, we did our final 2 episodes of
American
Horror Story.
Which I made sure to watch that first, and I think it was a mistake to do that because that was so much more mature, and it was written by a functioning adult. Chucky felt like it was written by a retarded child, so it felt just like a brain dead, bad, stupid, I don't even know what to call it at this point because it just feels so brain dead and so devoid of anything resembling a Chucky movie from the old series.
Well, I saw it first, and then I watched American Horror Story early this morning, like at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so it was like an upgrade for me because I felt the same way about this latest episode of Chucky, which is very disappointing. The thing is, it was almost like a free-for-all or a big meetup because I think every living character, all the ones that haven't been killed, were in this episode. And
they didn't really build up to them meeting. It was just them meeting, automatically.
It just came about.
Which has been a common thing this season, where there's been no build up to the events happening. They're just already happening.
And so you're almost like blown off kilter, meaning you're just jolted because you're like, what are they doing? How do they all get there? What's next?
Well, because they start off the whole episode with one of the confessions.
Right.
Where gay Jake is doing a confession, and I will say that, Jake has improved this season, but it hasn't done anything for the bad writing.
No.
The
thing is, I didn't like his confession because he says, everything's my fault. And it sounds like he was confessing to doing the actual killing, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And I really didn't like that. And the
I
other
don't like
person,
it either.
The priest, and not to his fault, I would think he would think that if he didn't know any better. He would think that it was his fault that he did the killing. In fact, he said something about that.
I thought it was a good idea too. Probably the only good idea in the whole episode, which is saying something. The only good idea was that everyone who was involved with the exorcism had to confess first, so that they wouldn't have any evil that's hiding inside them, which was kind of strange because that woman, the psychiatrist, she did confess that she wanted to unleash Chucky after the exorcism was done, but she didn't really confess her whole life story. She probably has a lot of hidden stuff that she's done.
She has to have had that.
Or else she's just now suddenly
Somebody doesn't turn into a kook like that overnight.
Yeah, it's understandable with these serial killers that are in prison and they never really talk about, my first victim, I killed them this, there, then. They don't really talk like that. They don't really give that away. And the way that she was talking was she was talking like she knew that it was a public thing where, you know that this is a private confession. So I thought that was weird.
Yeah. I, well, now I realize after watching it, because I remember who was it? The nun who got the book, or was it the priest that said how to do a? It was. I guess that was supposed to be funny.
That was the teacher.
Oh, okay. It was how to do an exorcism
for dummies.
Yeah, instead of something algebra for dummies or English for dummies or whatever. This was doing an exorcism for dummies, and I thought, oh, ha ha.
There were a lot of things this episode that were supposed to be funny, but they weren't, and that was one of them.
I don't know what they were trying to do in this episode. Lexi still is a good actress.
And yeah, she always will be.
And she has a drug problem, and she won't tell anybody. She did tell Nadine, but Nadine's gone. But guess what happened? Nadine showed up to the party. So, like I said, I guess with one exception, that was her, that everybody alive who was left to be living, except for Nadine, was in this episode, which was kind of odd. Like a big party or something. I don't know, it was just weird. And another thing I really did not like, and I'm going to say it right now because it's just, it bothered me.
Oh, don't jump the gun. I know what are you going to mention the finishing something comment?
No.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Jennifer Tilly's boobs were practically popping out of her
Safi,
dress.
fuck off.
Well, I couldn't stand that.
Let her boobs pop out if they want to. Get off of it.
I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I really did not. I know that's
Safi,
what she does.
Fuck off.
She wears low cut.
Fuck off with that shit, Safi.
I don't like it.
Get off the show's back.
I thought it was distracting.
Yeah, well, it was distracting for you. Why is that?
Because I was afraid she was going to have a. I thought she was going to have a
wasn't distracting for
wardrobe malfunction.
Really? It wasn't distracting for me.
Well, I didn't
maybe
like
you should
it.
keep your eyes on her eyes instead of on her boobs, Safi.
Well, it was
Why
hard.
are you staring at her boobs?
Because I thought it was weird.
Safi, have you ever stared at someone's boobs as much as Jennifer Tilly's?
She goes into that...
is this a new obsession for you?
She goes into that place to buy something. I can't remember what it was. And
she goes into a place to buy
something. And they talk
something.
about her on the TV, on the news. And somebody recognizes her. And then the cashier recognizes her. And
he wasn't looking at her boobs. He was looking at her face.
Yeah.
You're the only one, Safi.
Okay, whatever. Move on.
Shame on you.
Move on.
I can't believe it. That's the thing that bothered you the whole episode.
No, the whole episode bothered me. I didn't care for it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
thought it was stupid.
Let's just because
I didn't take it seriously at all.
There's probably people who haven't watched all of our reviews who come on here. Let's just quickly go over the main problems of the show, because I really think...
The show or the episode?
Well, that's the thing, is I think that with all these shows and movies, I just got through watching someone's, first 3 movies that they've only made, and they never made any improvements each movie because they've gotten so praised that it's just like they're in an echo chamber, and so they just keep on repeating the same mistakes over and over again. And it feels like that for Chucky. In fact, for Chucky, the only thing that feels like it's improved is Jake's acting, which is pretty bizarre, because it's so weird how, because I would never have thought that he would watch our videos and that he would be like, oh my god, I didn't realize that I had this meme-worthy face. When I turn my head to the side and go remember that, Safi?
Yeah, I do. How could I forget?
That was the funniest face of all time.
And I don't know how he just did it over and over and over again. Now he's not doing that anymore.
He started to do it this episode,
which I can understand because he was in such of a habit of doing it. And I don't know if it's nerves. It's kind of like something you could depend on to kind of keep your, keep you grounded so you don't break out in a sweat and flub up your lines or something. Something to keep you grounded so you do some kind of head nod or something. But since it was distracting and looked stupid, he stopped doing it. But you can tell he's really trying hard.
Well, you know what would be fun to do? What if he could, like, stand in front of a green screen and, like, green screen himself into all these classic horror movies doing that face? Like, maybe he could be in the shower scene in Psycho, and he could be, like, taking a shower, and then he sees Norman, and he makes the face.
Well,
and he gets stabbed.
Marco was making the point that he didn't do the head nod, which was extremely, when we saw him last year, extremely distracting. He just does the face now. And he made this face. I remember the one time, it was like, I don't know, well, they were talking about Chucky, and then I can't,
and he
they were
started
talking
to
about
do
Chucky
it
a lot, but you could tell, he was like, oh, I want to move my head.
I want to twist my head like a toy that's broken, like a broken robotic toy.
You have a broken neck, or a loose wire or something.
A loose wire.
Well, in these certain plushies, they're connected by wires in a little bit of like wood or a dowel or something.
Well, maybe Jennifer Tilly's boobs could be held together by some wires, so you could shut up
she
about
had to have
them.
had some kind of. They have sticky tape.
Really?
And they put them on. You put them on yourself and the dress, and it keeps the dress from coming.
Safi, do you
off.
think that she'll autograph some sticky tape for you?
Marco, get off of it.
Well, so anyways,
let's move on.
back to my point I was trying to make like 10 minutes ago. This show in particular has several huge flaws, and it feels like they're just going to keep repeating these flaws over and over again because they don't really listen to the feedback. I think some of them do, but I think that the main people, they're just so used to hearing this praise and this echo chamber of bullshit from these fanboys, calling it a masterpiece, calling it the greatest thing ever, and so they don't really hear the truth, and that's the problem, because they need to really listen to the criticism as much as they need to listen to the praise.
Yeah, because I don't know where this episode is supposed to be going. I mean, you see what happens at the end. Now, I won't say anything because we're not there yet. But everybody else, just for that one person, you see what's going to happen, or at least in general. But everybody else, I don't know what they're doing there.
And what I'm thinking about is the X-Files, because the X-Files is another show where they repeated the same flaws over and over and over again. And over time, the flaws just got worse and worse and worse to the point of where they completely overtook the show. Because, number one, they were taking preemptive victory laps constantly because they were so full of themselves. And number two, they weren't listening to the real criticism. They were only listening to the people talking about when are Mulder and Scully going to get together. That's all they listened to. And so the cringeworthy thing is that it's now been like 20 or 30 years. And now we're looking back and going like, ew. Like, look at how many mistakes this show made because they were listening to the wrong people and they weren't really listening to the criticism and the feedback. And it's going to be the same thing for Chucky, where, you people might think that you're winning now, and you might think that all the fanboys have your back, and all those shitty horror YouTubers who, make these weird faces in their thumbnails that call the show a masterpiece and call it the greatest horror thing of the year. like, you might think that you're succeeding now, but in 20 years, people are going to look back and they're going to call this a piece of fucking shit. Because that's exactly what it is. This episode was completely nonsensical. It was unintelligible. It was a disaster. It was trash. It was stupid. It was dumb. I felt like I was losing brain cells every single minute of the whole show. And I just thought, this is the stupidest thing I've seen all year. This is an embarrassment to the Child's Play franchise. Every character practically is an embarrassment to the Chucky franchise now.
It was almost like they were not even in character. They were out of character.
It was like they're
themselves.
They're all at like a fucking convention meeting. Yeah. And you had to charge like you had to pay $1,000 to enter to watch them do this exorcism of Chucky. That's what it felt like.
Well, I think the only one who seemed like she was actually acting was the nun. But then at the end of what she was doing, I don't know what she was doing, but she went into it. It seemed like she was, doing a pretty good job. But the rest of them, I just felt like it was a party. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I guess Lexi was in her character, but still, it's just the...
Lexi was hardly in it. Remember how she was just like sitting in the room with the nun the whole episode?
Oh, yeah.
And then at the end she comes back. Isn't that funny, Safi, that the worst episodes are the ones where Lexi is in them less? Isn't that interesting?
Well, she's really good. Well, I don't think she's going to get any prize for being in the show, but...
Oh, she'll get the fanboys prizes.
Sometime, if she's in something else where she really has to use her acting chops, as they say, I think she would do a really good job.
Safi, do you know what I hope, though?
Well, I think she'd do a good job in anything she was in, really.
I just please... I really hope, like, she seems like the type, for just for some reason, you get this feeling with, like, I feel like, please don't ever do a slave movie, because, like, you can just picture her in, like, a slave movie, where she's, like, the bitchy, like, plantation daughter character.
God, I hope
not. And it's like, please don't ever do that, because
I hope they just don't do that. That's not going to be good for anybody.
Well, they do that all the time.
They make
they make these shitty movies that nobody wants anymore. And so, like, please don't ever do that. And then, like, with Devin. I
feel bad for Devin. He just doesn't do well.
Safi, what should Devin do?
I don't know. I don't.
Let's give Devin some advice.
I don't want to criticize him because but he is not very good. I don't know what he can do, because I don't. It's probably different for everybody.
He's basically like a stereotype, and he's there to service an agenda.
I don't know what the agenda is.
Oh, well, we saw the agenda in this episode, Safi, remember. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
But the thing is, he just isn't very good. And I feel bad for saying that.
He could be in Hallmark movies.
I suppose, when he's older. But I don't like criticizing somebody. He's a kid, and I don't like criticizing him.
And then what about Jake? What should Jake do? Because I think that Jake should... I
don't know.
I think that he should... I don't know.
I don't know. I just don't... I don't like criticizing them.
Jake should become the next slasher villain, and his character should have some sort of a quirk where his face contorts and it twists around. Like, he could be like a jester, like an evil jester, and he could be like a human puppet. Or, no, he could be like a Goosebumps. They could make like a new Goosebumps character once they...
I don't know.
Once they grow a pair and start making Goosebumps for adults. Like they should have, like, 20 fucking years ago. And then...
you know what he would have been good in?
What?
Maybe. Except he's not really like that because he's still kind of an unsure, gangly kid.
What, Charles Manson?
No. We watched an X-File and we talked about it.
Oh, William.
Well, not playing William, but the character, there, in one episode, it was all about witchcraft, and it was revenge, and it was somebody having an affair. And the people who got the brunt of it in a negative way were the two children.
And they had this puppet character.
Yes, that's what he would be good at, that puppet.
I told you, Safi, he could be a great villain. Yeah. And you could make a good horror movie with lots of nudity and violence, and you could have him as the puppet man.
Yeah.
And he will be very good.
They could make a whole new
get lots of money
horror series instead of Puppet Master or
you could call this Puppet
Scream.
You could call this Puppet Lord.
Puppety or something.
The incarnate Puppet Lord.
I don't know, but that's what, when I saw that, got him making that face without turning his head or bending his neck over. Yeah, okay. And I thought of that puppet because I just watched the episode. It was from season 11, and it's called Familiar.
It's the worst season too. It's the worst season of the series.
It's the worst season, but it's a pretty. I thought it was a pretty good episode. Marco, I don't think liked it as much as I did.
I give it a B minus.
Well, that's not bad considering what we saw for the season. That's pretty good.
I mean, for Chucky, this episode is an F minus, so
right.
That's an improvement on Chucky.
Well, okay. So back to the episode of Chucky.
Well, and so let's give Nadine Nadine should be.
Nadine came back as a ghost to help Lexi, I suppose.
Nadine,
which is interesting because she's a good actress too.
What should Nadine do though? Let's cast Nadine.
I don't know.
I think
these people are kids, and
so
they just
what?
don't. They don't seem like they're developed in their repertoire.
Well, Safi,
their ability to do different things.
Have you seen the Stranger Things kids? Like the way that those little fuckers.
I haven't watched that show yet.
Those fuckers. They just get shoved down your throat for fucking every fucking movie that comes out with a kid in it.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the new movie starring the Stranger Things kid. And it's like, get these fucking pieces of shit out of here. I'm sick of Stranger Things kids. And I haven't even finished the first season. I'm so sick of them. I'm sick of the kids from It. I'm sick of the kids from the other fucking hit trendy show. Like, I'm sick of these fucking kids that don't know how to act. Like, put Jake in there. Put Lexi in there.
Yeah.
Put Nadine in there.
Yeah.
Since they killed her off and rushed that story to an end so that they could have some cheap twist where it turns out that good Chucky is bad Chucky. But is he?
Yeah.
Like, that was so disappointing. And so, as fucking 15 minutes ago, the point I was trying to make before Safi got her weird obsession with Jennifer. I don't know what that was.
Michael, we've moved on from there a long time ago.
No, you're always stuck on there. So the main problems that this show has that they're going to keep on repeating over and over again are, number one, they rush through storylines constantly. And so you'll have a really good storyline like Good Chucky. It's been going on since episode 3. So you have episode 3, 4, and 5, and 6. That's 4 episodes. That's not very much. And it barely had any time for it to be really a good storyline. The way that, in that one episode, the kids were fragmenting, and it was kind of like, is he good? Is he bad? It was kind of like an interesting story of like, can any Chucky be redeemed and turn on to the good side? That was a good story. And it was rushed to an end so that they could have him be exorcised in this shitty ass Exorcist fucking rip-off episode. Number 2, this show is a huge joke, and the first season tried to be serious and they failed miserably, and so they just embraced being a joke in the second season. Well, guess what? It's too much of a joke. Like, because it's weird, like they're still trying to take themselves seriously, but it's not working at all because they're just a huge joke, and it's like, it's laughable. It's laughable. It's not child's play. It doesn't feel like child's play in any way, shape, or form. Number 3, lots of just confusion and messiness of these storylines. Just a million stories, a million characters, just this messy, to the point of where there's a lot of people who don't even know what happened at the end of the episode. Like, they didn't even figure out that Chucky switched bodies with the psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And so...
Which is weird.
I didn't figure out either at first, but then I thought, oh, that was a twist, wasn't it? And I thought, like, ugh. So, those 3 issues, they have just been glaring, but the biggest one has been this rushing through storylines and ending storylines too soon. And it's really become a problem, to where it's like every episode there will be a new good idea, good storyline, and it gets ended abruptly and unsatisfyingly. And so this episode had the idea of, let's exorcise Chucky. Well, they did it on the good Chucky, so they ruined that character, the best character of the whole series. They ruined that. And they exorcised him. And then it ends in like a really confusing, oddball, just messy way. And they have these really stupid things happen in the show. Like, they have this cringeworthy dress-up scene where the priest says, the brother from Ben and Arthur, he says, "We're going rogue." And then he starts like getting dressed in his uniform and they cut 2 times and they show like the emphasis with the music. It was just so goofy and dumb and so like, ugh. Like, I feel like I need to wash this show out of my head, like brainwash it out of my head by watching an old Chucky movie that actually was good. Safi, you want to participate?
You're so funny. I'm interrupting you. Now I'm not participating, and it's just unbelievable. Well, I was glad that they got, but it's still, I don't even care.
I don't even care.
Chucky out of Mika. And so she won't be turning into Chucky anytime soon, because it's somewhere else. I don't know if Marco's just said it now or not, because I just think about the episode, and it's kind of depressing because it seemed like it was going well.
It was. You had the first episode, which was terrible, and then episodes 2, 3, 4, and 5 were really good, and then episode 6 was bad. This episode... Oh, no, wait. Which fucking episode was the one with the fucking agendas and the fucking Glenn and Glenda?
Oh, God, I don't know. That was like 2 episodes ago, maybe?
Death on Denial. That episode was the worst episode of the series. So, that episode was trash. So there's been like 3 good episodes, and all the rest have been terrible.
And which is kind of, there's not even like a middle ground.
Yeah.
It's like either good or bad. There's nothing in the middle, like, oh, it's a little bit good and a little bit bad. No, it's either or. I don't understand.
And even for the fanboys, it's always just everything is perfect, everything is amazing, there's never any middle ground for them, which is hilarious.
Which I
because
don't see how they would like this.
It's dishonesty.
It has to be.
It's bitch behavior, because it's like, at least you could be honest and say, because there's so many times for this season especially where I've seen these fucking fanboys and they say, I really didn't like that happening, but of course it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it's just so incredible. Like they said the same thing for Better Call Saul. Oh, I really didn't like seeing Nacho get killed for no reason and in a terrible, shitty cop-out way. But it was so good. It was so amazing. And it's like, see, this is why the fucking Holocaust happened right here. Like, because of this type of zombie-like behavior from people who just can't, like, question anything. They can't have any independent thought of saying, like, I didn't like that, but I like that. Like, that's all you have to do. You don't have to be a brainless zombie who just says, I like everything. Everything is perfect because it's Chucky. And it's like, fuck off with that shit. That's bullshit. It's a lie. None of us are convinced. How much money are you taking? How many pity follows are you getting from fucking Chucky Stan accounts? Like, it's like, come on. Safi?
I don't know what to say. I just...
Don't you agree? Isn't that why the Holocaust happened? Because
Marco,
of fanboys?
Don't do that.
It's true.
I'm not going to.
It's true.
I can't even believe you're bringing something like that up.
It's true.
Well, I'm not
this is
talking
why
about
it
that.
happened.
I refuse to do that.
This is why it happened.
Okay, great.
Because of fanboys.
Well, whatever. It was just, I don't understand how something can be so good and like you go to the next episode and it tanks. I don't get it. Because you see, they already have a season under their belts, and now they're halfway through this, and they're not doing this live. They have pre-recorded it, so it's all, they could have reshot some of the scenes or injected something better, and they didn't, and it's just disappointing. I don't understand. They have a lot of support. They have really good advertisers, and apparently the network that
they just don't have any good writers.
And there's writers. My God, there are writers everywhere who would give their eye teeth to write something like this and have a lot better ideas. But I mean, it's almost like they made all the actors collapse onto each other.
Yeah,
in
it
one
was
big
really
heap.
weird.
And then, of course, the psychiatrist, she's older. You're talking about mostly kids now. And then you're talking about that guy, the original kid in the movie, who's now an adult.
Andy. And
then you're talking about the girl who had blonde hair and was in the second movie or whatever.
Yeah, the girl who died in the season 1 finale.
Yeah, she
in a terrible death.
She didn't die, and they look like they're.
Well, she looks like she's dead on the inside.
Well, they're a mess.
Yeah.
They look like they're homeless people. Like they've really been on the street for years and years and years.
They look like the people. Remember the Goosebumps episode? The tower. Is it? I keep on getting mixed up. Terror Tower or Tower Terror? Okay, Terror Tower is the Goosebumps. They look like, the people in Terror Tower. When they travel back in time with the stones. And then they see the people sitting at the table chewing on the turkey legs and stuff. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that homeless woman who's like, you guys are gonna be taken by an evil executioner. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that woman?
Mm-hmm.
Like, doesn't Kyle remind you of her? Like, just the way that, like, and Andy, oh my God. Like, Andy looks like he doesn't look very good, and I don't blame him, because if I was in this show, I wouldn't be very happy either. So I wouldn't be very happy to be in this terribly written show.
I think he wants the work. I
Well,
think he appreciates the work.
the thing is that it's like, how many times... It's just like with the X-Files, where you saw David Duchovny, and he looks like he's a bloated fucking fish at the fish market, and you see Scully, and she looks like a fucking dinosaur, and it's like, how many times are these people gonna let the franchise get raped? Like, how many times are they just gonna let these characters get disrespected, get the stories, underdone, and get completely written over to where, like, oh, that story never happened, actually. Oh, no, it happened this way. Oh, no, actually, this happened. And it's like, just, how many times are they going to do that? Because they already did it with those terrible movies. Cult of Chucky and Curse of Chucky. Mm-hmm. They already did it with those. Those were terrible. Those were, oh. And then they did the first season, which was terrible. And then they did this, terrible. And so if they do a season 3, there's just going to be more shit that happens. And I can't even imagine, because now they don't have any cards they can pull out. You know what I mean, Safi?
No.
Like how in this season, they had this big build-up to Glenn and Glenda coming, as if like anyone cared about those two shitty-ass characters coming back. They had this big, epic build-up to that. And it's like they won't even be able to do that anymore for season 3. What are they going to do? Like, hype up the girl from Child's Play 3 to come back? Like, the girl he was supposed to get with? Remember?
Who was supposed to get with?
Andy.
Oh.
Remember, he's like kissing her. Safi, you're like talking to her.
Yeah, okay.
Nobody can even understand you or hear you.
Here. Okay.
Here. Like, are they gonna like try to hype it up and bring her back? Like, is that the level they're gonna sink to? Or like, let's just think about who's like the most bottom of the barrel characters that they could just say, oh, look, it's this character. Like, you know what I mean, Safi?
Yeah.
Oh, they could have a flashback with the voodoo guy.
Yeah.
Remember the voodoo guy, that black guy who gets like all his bones broken by Chucky with the voodoo doll? They could have like a flashback with him. Oh wait, no, I know who they can bring back.
Who?
They can bring back shitty ass Chris Sarandon as the detective.
Oh.
After he just disappeared off the face of the earth. They could hype up bringing him back. Which at that point, it'll be like, okay, I think we're done.
Yeah. There's just nothing much more to say about it.
Yeah, there is. There's a ton more.
Well,
like, they ripped off The Exorcist, and they tried to disguise it as, like, parody, even though it's like...
Yeah.
What was the parody?
I don't know.
Like,
the parody is... They tried to do a parody of things, and it really didn't work, and it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good.
They didn't really parody much of anything.
I think
like,
they
didn't
wanted
really,
to.
Like, you think about the parody of The Exorcist at the beginning of Scary Movie 2, and you think about how that was really funny, and it was a really good version of that story, but with a comedic light. And then you look at this, where it's like, what did they do? Oh, there's a book called Exorcisms for Dummies. And then the priest, he says, we have to go rogue. and he changes outfits. Wow. That's really smart. Like that's what it felt like. Like it just felt so brain dead and so lazy and almost like they gave up.
I don't know.
And it's like, how could you even give up?
I don't see how they could give up.
Like, where's the other kids at the school?
They don't show anybody else.
Where's the other teachers, the other kids at the school?
It's like they all disappeared.
It's literally like did people disappear in Under the Dome? Didn't they do that where like inside the dome they disappeared? Safi, you're the one who watched that show.
At the end of it, I stopped watching it.
It was like a Stephen King. Oh no, The Langoliers. It was like in The Langoliers where everyone disappeared except for the couple of main characters. Like that's what it's like now. This feels like The Langoliers. Except The Langoliers was at least pretty good.
Yeah.
Because it was funny.
It was good.
And it was written, and I think either written and or directed by Tom Holland, who did the original Child's Play, which is still the best of the whole series because nothing has really ever matched that movie at all in any way, shape, or form. They're too busy having these stupid agendas.
Yeah, they're not doing well with those.
Yeah, they really fail with everything they do, which is a demonstration of like, okay, if you can't at least do one thing with agendas well, then it just shows you shouldn't do anything with agendas because it's like they're just not worth it. Like in this episode, it was so cringeworthy because the priest, he was referring to either Glenn or Glenda as they them, like a plural.
Oh.
And he was like using their pronouns, and it's like, you really think that a Catholic priest would do that? Like they never even had any discussion, they never had any like clarification. It was just all of a sudden like remember Glenda is talking to him and she said, would you please I'm really worrying about Glenn. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, do you want me to pray for them? And it's like, how would he know how to say that? Like, how would he know? Like, wouldn't he say, do you want me to pray for him?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what he is. He's a him. And so, right. I mean, that's the whole point of the character, was that it was a he and a she, like Glenn and Glenda. It's not a they and a them, like plural people. So that was stupid. And then speaking of agendas, Safi.
Yes?
Probably one of the most disgusting moments of the year was when Chucky is talking with Jake about how Jake can't finish in the bedroom.
Oh, God.
And he was saying, hey, Devin, I bet that Jake can't finish in the bedroom.
Oh, my God.
And it's like, that's not appropriate.
I don't know. Throw it out of my brain.
I don't know why in a television show they're talking about children finishing in the bedroom. Wow. I don't really think that says many good things about the creator and writer of the show. I mean, if anything, that should tell you something about.
That was horrible.
That's
I think I tried to forget about it because it was just so.
That was an agenda.
I was shocked.
That was an agenda.
Well, I don't know what kind of agenda
it's
that's
like
supposed to appeal to.
Just pushing the gay.
Oh, God.
Of like Jake and Devin. And it's like,
geez.
Stop trying to make Jake and Devin happen. They're not going to happen.
They don't want to. They're having a problem, and they don't want it.
And already in the trailer
they
for
just
the next,
want to be friends.
In the trailer for the next episode, you already see some more agenda where Jake and Devin are in bed together.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It's like,
just kids.
I don't like watching these children like in these sexual situations. It's
either
like this
male
is
or female or male and male. I don't like it.
This is like some pedophilia type of shit, like
I
cuties.
don't think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
So I don't like that. Like I think
don't either.
I don't think that should be allowed on television.
And it just doesn't do anything. The thing is,
it doesn't even fit the story.
It doesn't fit the story. It doesn't do anything for it. Oh, brother.
Like I don't even think that Chucky would actually talk to a kid about finishing in the bedroom.
No.
Like the Chucky from the original series would never do that. No. Ever. And I guarantee that Tom Holland would agree. the person who wrote the original, the best movie, the series. The one responsible for the one where Chucky was actually scary and he wasn't a comedic joke character like in this.
Yeah.
Safi?
I don't know what else to say. It
fucking
shocks
sucked.
me. I remember that.
I know,
And
and
then,
I was like, Safi, you're complaining about Jennifer Tilly's boobs when there's a scene where Chucky is talking to a child about how he can't finish in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Oh,
like
God.
that's what I thought. Like, God, Safi, your priorities are really weird.
I just wanted to move on. It was just awful hearing that. I just was shocked.
That was like worse than American Horror Story from last year. Where
No.
Really?
There's nothing worse than that. Like I said, they said all these disgusting things.
But this is with children. This is with children, though.
This is with children. So, I mean, just that alone was not good to do. Not at all. And I don't know why they would do that. But, well, who do they think that's impressing?
I don't know. Probably the other people in Hollywood who like that sort of thing.
Not with children.
Yeah, like everyone in Hollywood likes children. That's what Hollywood's known for. They're a bunch of pedophiles.
Yeah. Okay.
It's true.
Whatever.
Safi,
it isn't right.
Have you gotten exercise, Safi?
I had a cramp in the side.
You're like laying on the bed in like this weird position, and you look like you've just been exorcised of all your demons. You.
I had a cramp on my right side.
It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen you do in history.
Okay, keep moving on.
Well, it's just like, how do you even describe something so stupid as this episode?
I don't know.
They exorcise good Chucky, something we never wanted to see happen, and I guess he was never good. They don't really make it clear.
Well, the psychiatrist said that he was the last one left. He was the last doll left.
Well, and Nika.
How would she know that?
Well, yeah, it's like he could still put his soul into other dolls too. So
yeah,
that's what he's gonna do.
That's true.
And then they have this thing where they betray the psychiatrist and they don't let her take the doll after they transfer the other Chucky soul into the doll. So what happens is Jake takes the doll and tries to kill him and tries to drown him in the holy water, which was really weird because the holy water was burning the good Chucky, but then with this other Chucky, they were putting him in the holy water and nothing was happening to him except for he was drowning. And you thought, like, is the holy water going to bubble? Is it there going to be like steam and bubbles and things? No, not at all. Oh no, now Safi's asleep.
No.
Like usual.
No, I'm not.
People can't even hear you, Safi.
I don't know how. What do you want me to yell? I'm not supposed to be doing that.
Well, just think about your actions.
Oh, God.
Take a time out. Take a chill pill. And so then the psychiatrist, she's threatening him, and then the nun, the other evil nun, she's just a plot convenience character now, and she comes onto screen, and they have this thing with her. Yeah.
And her hair is showing. And so I wasn't even sure it was her.
And she makes it to where the psychiatrist can get away with the doll. But then what happens is a little twist that's very subtle, where Chucky switches souls with the psychiatrist. And so then Andy comes and shoots that Chucky, and he shoots him in the mouth, so he can't say that, uh-oh, I'm the woman. I'm not Chucky. Chucky got into my body. And so that was an interesting idea, but it wasn't executed well at all, obviously. So then she gets away, And then they have this whole stupid storyline with Tiffany and Glenn and Glenda. And it's like, who even cares?
Well,
Like, it was just such a mess. And it's like, let's not pretend like anyone cares about the Tiffany, Glenn, and Glenda storyline, Safi.
yeah.
Okay? That storyline, nobody ever cared about that. That storyline always gets an F- regardless. This storyline, the whole episode's just a fuck you. Safi,
Yeah.
wake up.
I'm awake.
Now, what would you rate it?
Gee, I think I'd give it a D.
Really?
Yeah, I just, I don't like, it was a mess. It was like, there really were only a couple of scenes maybe that were logical and calm and taking care of business. And the rest of it was like making everything you want to eat soup, and you have a pot of boiling water and you just start throwing things in there. And then it cooks all the way, and it's what you have left is little people or something. It was just weird. I just did not care for it. So I gave it a D.
Why are you talking about little people?
Well, it just was a disaster. It was like and like I said, it was like a big party, and they weren't even acting.
Yeah.
And
It was so deflating after watching American Horror Story and then going to watch this, and it's like, ugh. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Like,
so.
it was painful to watch. So?
Yeah. So, anyway, I guess, are we done?
If you want to be done.
Okay, so if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers. We really appreciate all of you, and when you give us diverse opinions and just discuss the movie or the show that we just talked about. And what do you think should have happened? Do you think this was any good?
It was, and it was very reminiscent of Cult of Chucky.
Oh.
That's, to me, it's like this is Cult of Chucky meets The Exorcist, which I never wanted to see.
Yeah, and he, I don't know. They had some, never mind.
What?
It's gonna be like I'm tired.
Oh, yeah, because you're just going to sleep for some reason.
Yeah, but anyway, I hope that next week that the episode is better, but I don't know, because there was only one person plus Chucky who left, and then everybody else was there like they were having a party. And that was a psychiatrist. And she went off with the Chucky, and somehow the spirit of Chucky got into her. And so you knew that because of the way she was talking to herself. So you're like, oh, wow, Chucky's in somebody else's body now. And
it won't be for long.
I don't think it will either.
That's another weird thing. It's like, is there really, in this universe, is there really just like an unlimited amount of times you can switch your soul?
Yeah.
Like, I would understand.
That's ridiculous.
I would understand the ability to split your soul as many times as you want, but to transfer a soul.
And that sounds like it'd be a long process. And if it was instant, it would stay there for a while. Like they couldn't just jump it out.
Yeah, like uploading videos takes a long time. Like, and for transferring a soul, it just takes like a couple of seconds, apparently.
Which, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Ridiculous. Ooh,
So?
hurt my knee.
Safi?
So, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.